Kia ora. My name's Jared. I'm from AMA Online, and I facilitated the session on Saturday about the Phase 4 curriculum discussion that we had. We didn't record the session, that was intentional, and this is a little video to try to recap sort of what we covered, and the document that I'm sharing on screen at the moment. You can access through that bit.ly link, so bit.ly/P4 Maths Chat, and you'll be able to get a copy of this document, make your own notes to it if you want to. So the session was supposed to be broken up into 3 parts. We kind of did 2 of those parts and a little bit more. So the first part I just talked about when I was talking about the curriculum. What are we saying? What documents do we have access to? So the link there will get you to the Phase 4 page, and the download if you want PDFs of the relevant documents. So very quickly, the 3 bold documents would be what I would call our curriculum documents. The other ones are explainers of what's changed or about what the feedback was about or something like that. And you can get a number 8 there as a HTML version of the curriculum too. And you can always just go to the web page for the curriculum as well. But if you are like me and you want to print out the curriculum, then you've got a Year 9 focused curriculum, so it's just the stuff at Year 9. It does have 3 pages at the start that talk about purpose statement and the structure of our learning area and things like that. And that's identical in the Year 10 document, 3 pages of that are about the general structure of the learning area. And then in both cases, we have it broken down by strand, what's going to be taught in knowledge and practices. And right at the end of each of those documents, there is a vocab list for the year. The 6th one there, or the 3rd bold one that I've got, is the full curriculum from year 0 to 10, the full Maths and Stats curriculum. An advantage of having that document is there are a few pages at the end about assessments requirements, which are pretty important for us Phase 4 people to know about as well. And there are other documents about assessment that you'll find as well and be released in good time as well. However, if you're on Facebook, a couple of teachers have done some really cool summaries for us. So Olive Jelliman has one up on a Facebook group, and you can find it there. It is all the strands lined up across the screen from year 0 to 10, so you can see that progression nicely. And if you're just interested in the Phase 3, Phase 4 transition, you could look at Julia Crawford's adaptation of that. Okay, so then I put people into breakout sessions randomly. We had 5 groups talking. The idea was that people would start sharing what they've noticed about the curriculum and start figuring out what questions they had. So maybe some shorter questions and some deeper questions for us. So what I've done in the blue box there is I've tried to summarize what we ended up talking about. So one of the questions that came up was the order of teaching. Do we have to teach it from number down to probability in the sequence, as it's called? So some interesting points about this. My understanding is no, that we don't have to. Schools can make their own decisions about how they teach and whether they want to integrate strands and those kinds of things. But some good points were brought up about if we are doing twice yearly testing, then what do we test at the mid-year point, which topics? So if there are different assessment tools, which you'll find out about PAT, ASTEL, and the new one. And then there is a document that talks about progressing during the middle of the year, what stage you should be at, and by the end of the year, what stage you should be at. So yeah, it's not completely clear whether the testing will assume certain topics have been taught. And also the idea of kids transitioning from one school to another. If one school's covered stats at the start of the year and the second school they're moving to cover stats at the end of the year, then they're going to be missing some of the other topics and something. So interesting little discussion on that one. We talked about gaps both going into year 9, so from the Phase 3 students, and the fact that Phase 3 has had a change put on them. So the expectations of what the curriculum thinks the kids will have learned at year 8 is not what the teachers were told they were supposed to teach at the start of this year. So there are going to be some gaps there that we need to realize, and the fact that this curriculum is supposed to be 8 years build up to get to this point, and those kids have really only had 1 year of accelerating up to its standards. In year 10, pretty similar. We have not been teaching the year 9 curriculum that leads into year 10 because we've only just seen it now. So yeah, perhaps some kind of hybrid at year 10 of trying to start to fill some of those gaps that they would need to get that they would have missed in our current year 9 schemes. It was brought up that teaching methods, the idea of explicit teaching, rich tasks, communication, and those kinds of things that were part of our learning area curriculum are not there anymore. But we found out that they are in the front end. The main Te Mata Aho document does have information about teaching, which will apply across all different learning areas, which I guess means that it won't be as specific to maths and stats teaching. I'm sure we'll get further guidance about that, or PLD about how those effective pedagogies play out in our subject. Yeah, a little bit of talk about assessments. This new SMART tool is a little bit of an unknown thing. We know that ASTL's going to keep going for another year, and then it's probably going to cease being supported unless, for some reason, people change their mind on that one. And it sounds like PAT is still good to go, and there's no end date on PAT as far as I've seen. Talking about whether we still assess our own end of topics, and a few people brought up that yeah we will, whether we do that through tests or other means. It's still good practice to be assessing our kids regularly and not just waiting for the twice yearly testing. Also, we got to, are we rewriting our year 10s? And different schools have different thoughts on that, or about how much time they can invest into these things, and the fact that they are jumping up into year 10 without having seen the year 9 year before it. So we are supposed to be teaching year 10. Those year 10s are not going to be sitting a new assessment regime. They're going to be within the current NCA system. So they may not be quite as important to be in the new curriculum as the year 9s are going to be, because they will have a new assessment regime in front of them by the time they get to those years. My intention was to have a second set of breakouts where we focused on different topics, but what we did instead is we got a little summary from one really well-informed teacher about what has actually changed, what is in the knowledge and practices in the year 9 and year 10 sections of the curriculum. So I won't try to read through all of that, but in each of the strands there were some differences. So I'd suggest that you go to the bit.ly and have a little read of that, but doing it yourself is really good, or seeing what people are saying in other forums about the changes, and keeping your ear to the ground on all of that stuff. So hopefully that was helpful, and sorry that we couldn't record it, but it was important that people had the chance to discuss this without feeling that they were being watched by people at a later point, and hopefully the summary has been good enough. Thanks everyone, good luck.